Hey guys, it's me, Jack24 here, and today I'm going to be reacting to, ERB Godzilla versus King Kong. And also I do want to say that this was a bit more unintentional on my part since I just did a Kong X Godzilla film trailer review, which to be honest I did not expect then for ERB to drop a Godzilla vs. King Kong rap battle, which, as I can see from other stuff, I can see that it looks quite good as I've not heard it yet. Also, I do want to say that all of the stuff in this video belongs to ERB. And one more thing, and that is if you're under the age of 13, I strongly suggest you don't watch this video because ERB is known to have a bit more adult theme stuff, including cursing and stuff in it. So effectively, if you're not comfortable with that, then I say don't watch. But I'm not going to judge you if you do. But just don't blame me if you guys start blaming for it. Anyways, now let's begin. I have to say, this actually looks like the Heisei era Godzilla. Which, to be honest, for a Godzilla suit, it actually looks quite good. Ooh. Now that looks bad. But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Alright, I need to run that back for a moment. Because I wasn't expecting this to be a complete CGI battle. But man, the CGI in this actually made it look like they were going to wear the suits in it. But man, it looks quite good. Let's play that back. I need to hear the rap. That is true. Godzilla, even in his first official film, well, an American edition at least, was literally called the King of the Monsters. He rose up from the sea, and he came out to fight. Which, to be honest, he did fight King Kong a long time ago. That is a fair play. Kong is usually seen as the last of his species. Which, to be honest, is an actual concept that we know far too well from history with humans overhunting different creatures into extinction. So, to be fair, this is more of a thing that's more due so towards like it's a concept of extinction, and he's like the last one, really. But I don't hold it against Godzilla for saying that. But what's in the background? Ghidorah? I will have to say only one time Godzilla replaced King Kong in a film where he actually did Simba for a girl for a little bit, but just that plot was dropped like nearly right away. But man, Godzilla's roasting him. Ooh, now that's a reference to King Kong vs. Godzilla, which is the first Godzilla film to actually be in color. Also, first King Kong film to be in color as well. And also, first time that, we get a massive battle between two famous kaijus. The whole city like a Tokyo play. You just move and I read like here comes the airplane. I'm dropping off the Empire feel like Jersey Smollett. This beat down is ringing. I got this battle covered like a blindfolded. I'll make an ass out of you like Nintendo did. Oof. First of all, that's just a reference to Donkey Kong. But man, oof. Gong, how are you going to respond? Godzilla literally roasted you. To the point where I think it's safe to say Godzilla kind of won this. Anyways, let's hear what Gong has to say. Sprain is referring to, well, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, where they discovered Godzilla in the Heisei era timeline, or this could be seen as generic for all the Godzilla iterations, have a secondary brain that's right next to their butt. So effectively, yeah, you can safely say you have to defeat him by, well, shooting his ass. So yeah. Oof. Don't try saying that he doesn't barely have arms. In the Showa era, and then even in the Heisei era, he knew how to fight with his arms, despite them being small. I mean, Gong, you literally just break people's jaws to win your victories. Hell, I mean, Godzilla was on the upper hand, and when you guys first fought. Plus, he was even doing stupid taunts at you.
Based on Frankenstein, first time we made a movie. And I dumped on you like Barkley at the base of Mount Fuji. Fast, Kangos, you can't fill since yourself. So they bring the mammal in the nurse and fills that the hell. Don't you call...
Let me do this. Let me hear this.
You can't fill since yourself. So they bring the mammal in the nurse and fills that the hell.
I think they were more referring to the MonsterVerse films. Because, if anything, Godzilla -1 was able to kind of beat a lot of the competitors for that, and plus, that film mainly starred Godzilla as its main antagonist, which, yeah, people went to go see it, so I don't think that, yeah, I'm saying, like, for the MonsterVerse, it just seemed to always have more of a larger focus towards Kong's aspect, because they knew that eventually their contract with Toho would dry up and they won't be able to use Godzilla anymore. So, yeah. Wait a sec. I must go back. The bombest monster from the sea? G. Kraken? I would have to say, Godzilla is probably one of the most famous, most famous in the modern sense, sea monsters. Even though he's more on land, but yeah, Godzilla is more aquatic than most people give him credit for, but I see like him being compared to the Kraken, where the Kraken's been around longer, so that's why people know about him more. So I really don't see Kong's point in this, because, well, he's effectively just giving him like pretty much like a bit of nothing comments in a way. Alright, so I hate to say this, but judging by the iteration that they want to use King Kong in, size-wise, and I do mean this, if we go from the original King Kong film, where he's roughly, I would say, 30 to 40 feet tall, compared to Godzilla, who in his original film is about 50 meters tall. For Americans that don't understand, just give me a sec. I'll convert meters into feet. Hold on. Just looking up. Give me a sec. He's about 164 feet in the Showa era. Tall for Godzilla. Yeah. So, and effectively, I have to say, Godzilla is going to win this regardless, regardless if they did actually fight and not have to cheese it like what Toho had to do during a production for King Kong, because, well, King Kong versus Godzilla, because, well, let's face it, King Kong was the more popular monster at the time, and Godzilla was still in his antagonist role during the Showa era. Anyways, let's continue. He's not wrong. He could actually do that. Oof. The worst. Pacific Rim 2. Even though I didn't see it, I saw a lot, and I do mean this, a lot of the reviews on it, and yeah, that didn't look so good. Manila is Godzilla's son from the Showa era, which somehow Manila's popular. For anyone that's seen the Showa era and is not really familiar with Manila, he's a love him or hate him character. Most in the fan base hate him, and some love him. Now to the Shin of Godzilla. That's a reference to Shin Godzilla, which was actually quite a good political message system about Japan's government's response towards the Fukushima disaster. Which, in case you can't tell, yeah, it was a pretty bad thing for Japan, the Fukushima disaster. Yeah. Oof. First of all, the snake he fought in the remake in the 1970s was an anaconda. So yeah, I guess there's a sea snake. But even in the first film, they don't even specify what type of creature he fights. King Kong fights, that is. That is because in the script, they're literally called meat eaters. And the only time when really we attempted to place a name on it before the V-Rexes from Peter Jackson's King Kong was Gorgosaurus from King Kong Escapes from Toho.
Slips around tenacious ski way to rap Godzilla. More like brave me, Japan, you were a metaphor for nuclear war.
That is true.
With they left your balls on the cutting room floor.
In all fairness, that's a reference to the 98 Godzilla, which we don't reference as Godzilla, so I'll do it justice. That's a reference to the 1998 films Godzilla, where I'm going to refer to that creature as Zilla because, let's face it, that ain't Godzilla. Well, I mean, canonically in Toho's timeline it ain't, and species-wise it isn't, but for the sake of the film, you can literally call it Godzilla and no one would know, but in that film, Godzilla is actually female. So, yeah, I have no idea why that's like that, but, no, I get what he's trying to say. Yeah, they kind of turned him into a girl, but how's that really an insult at that point?
The 90s didn't make you any cooler. What kind of pumpy chump gets pumped by Ferris Bueller? So go ahead and blow blue, I'ma make you cold blue. I'm an oxygen destroyer, and now you're
Ooh. The only thing that's ever beaten Godzilla canonically is literally, well, other besides the monsters, I'm meaning from human-made inventions, are literally the Oxygen Destroyer, and whatever those drill missiles were in GMK. Okay, and Mechagodzilla from Super Mechagodzilla from Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, and the Kiryu saga of the Millennium Era movies. Kiryu's Mechagodzilla from that era that happens to be based around original Skeleton, which actually is quite fun.
about the atom, the beast for 20,000 fathoms. Couldn't fathom, come at me with Iron Man, and so I'll still destroy. Now I'm making the riches and I'm finna get it to triple fucking core.
I have to say, The Beast of 20,000 Fathoms is the film that actually inspired the original 1954 Godzilla. And I have to say, that mainly helped inspire a lot more of the creative destruction scenes, but effectively the idea of a giant monster representing war was already on the mind. That just helped solidify the idea for scripts, mainly. And now I'll break down this. Oh yeah, that is a thing. Here's something that's actually quite funny. In the Marvel comics, Godzilla canonically went into the Marvel comics and just beat the entire Avengers in most of the world, to the point where the Marvel writers literally had to write him out of story, because not only did their contract with Toho run up, but they couldn't really do too much with Godzilla at this point. And I have to say, this is a beautiful Heisei Godzilla CGI though. Oof. Oof. I have to say, I have to go back a bit, because A, Godzilla's spitting a lot, and B, I can't translate all of it. That is true. Mechagodzilla from the Show era did outdo Mechanicon, who actually canonically was actually the first time that, was Mechanicon is from King Kong Escapes, which is from the late 60s, where Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla was in the early 70s. But yeah, Mechagodzilla outdid Mechakong for a long time, until the recent spike in watching the older King Kong and Godzilla films due to quote classic review channels, which I actually do like. Oof. The balloons he's riding on is a reference to both two things. Firstly, the original 1960 63. I believe it was 63. Give me a sec, because I know. Hold on. Sec. Because I believe it was 1963. No, not that. So where is it? No. Hold on a sec. It's just showing me stuff for. Yeah, it's 1962. Yeah. Roughly 1962 for 1963, depending on which release you got for King Kong vs. Godzilla, where they literally transported Kong to fight Godzilla by literally getting him drunk off of berries, or by cocaine, depending on what you see the dust as. And then they literally just tied him to balloons and then just dropped him on Godzilla. Yeah, that's how they got him to fight him. And another thing was that another reference is this to the recent Godzilla vs. Kong film from the MonsterVerse, where in a kind of a scene similar to it, they transport Kong over the water by balloons after Godzilla gave him a smackdown.
That was more disappointing than your enemy. Like
Oof. For those that don't know, the Godzilla anime trilogy kind of sucked. But But apparently, some parts of it are actually quite good, like the concepts, and not to mention, I hear the prequel novels to each of them are quite good, which that I have to kind of get and figure out. I'm hoping that there's an English release because currently I can't speak or read Japanese all too well. I'm learning. That doesn't mean I can't read.
It's another egg, you ugly boss motherfucker. Still don't know how you got pregnant. Your whole suit's a big rubber. No new fear of Gojira. I ain't here on no monsterverse. The only Honda vehicle that don't retain a war. There'll be no victory dance. Your cheap ass will lead us sense if you.
I mean, well, the victory dance is more of a often joke due to Godzilla doing it, but to be honest, it honestly is more a part. It's more fitting for the Showa era of Godzilla, and the dropkick, Godzilla's famous sliding dropkick, was probably one of the funniest unintentionally hilarious moments in the Showa series. Series that was quite good.
You got me on solid tree on your neck on the egg scrape, egg brain with the egg ass. Like all monsters attack their about to recycle crap. This awful gorilla won't be bringing no silver bells. Just like Ryan Gracie moving cats since the first act.
Oof. But I do have to say, that doesn't look all too good. First of all, I would have to say Godzilla wins this. Because really, most of the versus Kong's bits could really be rebutted by just the fact that Godzilla's been in way more films than King Kong has, and honestly has a longer film eras. Yeah, currently Godzilla has a few eras. One is the original era, which are the original black and white Godzillas, which are the early Showa era films. Then there's the Showa era films, which is the 60s through 70s Godzilla. Then there's the Heisei era, which is the 1984 Godzilla all the way to 1995. Then, of course, there's the unfortunate Roland Emmerich one, which happened in 1998, which that basically became Zilla, anyways. But I would have to say another era of Godzilla was the Millennium era, which canonically had the most confusing timeline ever because each film were all separate from one another, but always had some form of the original film being altered in some way in order to fit its narrative. Narrative has, for example, in the Kiryu saga, the bones of the original Godzilla survived the oxygen destroyer, where in the original film, the bones disintegrated as well. But I have to say, out of all of this, oof. And then that doesn't count for the era of both Shin Godzilla and Godzilla -1. I forget the exact terms used for that era, but effectively, yeah, this seems to be quite more on Godzilla's side because, well, I mean, in the '98 film, Godzilla really was presented as being able to reproduce asexually, which happens in lizards, believe it or not. So, yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, yes, taking the jab at the suitmation is fun and all from Kong's perspective, but then again, you need to remember, suitmation is what really brought Godzilla to being alive in a sense, in a more horrific way than what Kong was used for and by stop motion. And actually, they did use suitmation for a couple of Kong's remakes, including a CGI counterpart for the 2005 Peter Jackson's King Kong, and that also includes a lot of other stuff for the MonsterVerse for both of them. Anyways, I have to say, who won this? It's quite clear. Godzilla's roasted Kong. Kong, I guess, Kong at the end of the day got served up the atomic wrap from, well, the breath of Godzilla. Anyways, I want to say thank you for checking out my reaction, as I can't wait to actually see how this turns out. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Remember, all of the copyright belongs to ERB, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.